migrant individuals, human beings, kidnapped. They go to multiple states, lied to, dropped off, abandoned. The governor who was behind it, Ron DeSantis, is under criminal investigation by the sheriff out in Texas for this deed, sending migrants to Martha's Vineyard. Well, now there's a class action lawsuit, and I said this was coming. Remember, I said $600,000, $700,000 for this political ploy. That's one fee the taxpayers will pay. The other will be the millions in defending the lawsuit, and the next will be the millions in paying the lawsuit once they are settled. Okay, the migrants allege in the complaint that they were given misleading information, promising cash assistance, employment services, and housing assistance, which they called bold-faced lies. The nearly 50 migrants said they were told they were headed to Boston and Washington, D.C. for help. Let's put up this brochure. You see that? I want you to take a good look at it. They allege Florida officials manufactured an official-looking brochure with language from the Massachusetts Refugee Resettlement Program in order to create their false representation in furtherance of a conspiracy. What you're looking at right there is a smoking gun. It shows creativity, strategy, coordination. They predetermined this activity and conspired with each other in order to do what? In order to kidnap human beings. Now, I have been saying since this happened, the Department of Justice should get involved directly. This is clearly a violation of law, a violation of due process, a violation of their absolute civil rights. Remember, you do not have to have a certain status in America in order for the Constitution to apply to you. You still have the right of due process, still have the right not to be criminally violated, you still have the right to not be kidnapped. And the government did this. Let's not forget who did it. The government of Florida did this to them. That's who did it. And they created literature in order to land the conspiracy. Per the suit, these human beings escaped a humanitarian crisis, only for DeSantis to put them in another one. The migrants, who are being represented by a Boston-based law firm for civil rights, say they suffered economic, emotional, and constitutional harms that amount to a minimum of $75,000. The reason why that's required is because in federal court, one of the rules is it has to be at least $75,000. There are a few other ones, but that's one of them. They're also asking the federal court to block DeSantis from repeating the action. They would like the federal court to issue an injunction against the now currently investigated governor of Florida. The complaint argues that Florida officials conducted discriminatory actions on the basis of alienage and deprives them of the equal protection of laws under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, an argument I made on day one. Florida officials have intentionally targeted only individuals who are non-white and born outside of the United States, they allege. The defendants' actions not only offend all notions of fairness, but they also stripped plaintiffs of their basic human dignity in violation of what? Due process. That's right, that's the right argument, okay? That's the same argument that the DOJ should be making right now against DeSantis, but they're not. This is the same argument that the DOJ should be making against those who were involved in the transportation and the recruiting, in the creation of this false material that's called conspiracy, okay? All right, let's put her up. Sharon, who's a spokesperson for Governor DeSantis, told Axios, and I quote, "It is opportunistic that activists would use illegal immigrants for political theater." Now, she's obviously a Karen. It was her governor, her boss, who created one of the most extreme optical illusions we have seen in recent history, chartered a pilot, a plane, brochures, coordinated with everybody but the individuals on the plane, lied to them. They didn't coordinate with Martha's Vineyard. They didn't give a damn about these immigrants, about these human beings. Could care less about their status, their plight. So she's saying that the activists are the ones who are creating political theater. Let's put her picture back up. She's the one that wants to be in front of this story. We will let her be in front of it. She continued by saying, if activists spent this kind of time and effort at the border, perhaps some accountability would be brought to the Biden administration's reckless border policies that entice illegal immigrants to make dangerous and often lethal journeys. 90%, ladies and gentlemen, 90%. The reason why 90% of undocumented workers come to America is because of the employers who hire them. The same federal law that makes it illegal to work undocumented, that same federal law, the subsection of that same federal law says it is illegal to hire them. How many times have you seen the CEO of a company being arrested along with the 600 employees that same day? When have you seen the recruitment director or the HR manager being arrested along with the hundreds of undocumented workers? If they wanted to actually stop this particular draw, they would at least go after the CEOs, but they never do because they are typically rich and white. All right, meanwhile, this is insane. Fenske, who attached a redacted consent form for the flight, said it was a voluntary program that gave the homeless, hungry, and abandoned immigrants a fresh start in a sanctuary state. Meanwhile, DeSantis has plans to spend millions that Florida has budgeted to continue this ridiculous practice. Lawyers for the migrants have requested Massachusetts Attorney General and the federal government open criminal investigations in response to the transports, which have elicited strong reactions on both sides of the aisle. The Biden administration is considering litigation options in response. All right, listen, let's get it cracking now. These people are not playing games. While we're still out here talking about what should the next step be, they are planning 3 or 4 steps ahead of everybody. Please note, this action will not stop until there is a real penalty for DeSantis and others who engage in this kind of ridiculous, insane, and extreme behavior. Sharon, what are your thoughts on this?
DeSantis should go to federal prison. If he is the mastermind, he should go to federal prison along with his friends in Texas and Arizona. This is nothing short of human smuggling-ish type stuff where people have trauma and persecution and they flee and they believe and they pay the pennies that they have just to get here, only to be hoodwinked. That's what he's doing. He kidnapped these people, took them across state lines, and he should go to federal, whoever's responsible should go to federal prison.
That's right. DeSantis is not above the law. The individuals who were kidnapped and lured into this false atmosphere, they are not below the law. They are human beings. And as I said before, this is not about 2 different sides fighting for the same thing with different methodology. This is literally about 2 very different countries. DeSantis, he has his view of what America should be, and we have ours.